If you're spending your time doing things that are not making you money, then you're spending your time in the wrong way and on the wrong things. You're working too much in the business instead of on the business. So yeah,
We need income producing activities. That's what
income
we call
producing.
them. Are you tired of working more for less profits in your home service business? What if I could show you $100,000 in hidden annual profits in your business in less than 3 minutes? Would you be interested? And not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com to see how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Renee Hastings with us, and we're going to have a tremendous conversation. So, Renee, as we always do on STS, no one knows Renee better than Renee. So, Renee, a little backstory, bring us up to speed, and we'll get into the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richard, for that awesome introduction. I truly appreciate you so much allowing me to be a part of your show. It's such an honor. And I love to start my story back in the days when I was being raised by my grandparents, as my grandfather was a sharecropper, and he moved his family from the South to the North, and they settled in an Amish community in Wisconsin.
I'm in
So,
Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin right now. That's
no
awesome. Yeah.
way.
Yes, I
What part of
am.
Wisconsin are you in?
Very southern tip, Beloit, Wisconsin. So right on the Illinois and Wisconsin state line.
Right across, right down the road from Rockford.
Yep. Right there. A stone's away. Exactly.
No, not too far from Janesville, and
Yep.
heading on up to Madison. Yes, so I'm not even sure if you know where this place is, where my grandfather bought land from a guy named Jack Campnell in the Dalton, Wisconsin
Yep.
area, not too
Yep.
far from Portage and Kingston and
Yep.
Markesan, that area.
Yep.
Oh my word, you're like the first host who's ever even known where that is.
Yeah, I like Wisconsin. I go all the way up into the UP of Michigan, and we do all the cool stuff. So I know it all. It's awesome. It's a good state. Yeah.
Yeah, so then you can probably testify how many of us there are who look like me in that area.
Yep. Yep.
Not
Yep.
very many.
That's right.
So, but when I was younger, we were the only Black family in that area. So my grandfather raised my aunts and uncles, mom, and us grandkids to be people of our word because everybody knew us. Whatever we did was a reflection of the family. So we had to be honest, hardworking, and be of good moral character and high standard of excellence in everything that we did, because it was a reflection on the family. And we wanted everyone who didn't look like us to have a great experience with people who look like us. So that was a responsibility and an expectation as a young child growing up. So I took all of that foundation with me as I started going to school and, making sure we got good grades and that sort of thing. And when I was younger, my mom was a single mom. And the city where we lived, by this time we moved to Madison, Wisconsin, they had a program called the Summer Youth Employment Program. And it was through that program that they exposed young kids to different work opportunities, to give them a chance to try new things, to see where their natural gifts and skills and talents resided and where their interests lay. And so my first assignment, I was 12 years old, and I was given an assignment at the National Urban League offices in Madison, and they needed a library set up. So they took me into this room filled with books from the floor to the ceiling, not categorized, paperbacks, hardbacks, all mixed in together, magazines, all the books were in this room. And by the end of summer, I had to have them all categorized, all labeled, all put on their shelves, and a list of where all the books were so people could easily find them. I was 12. And by the time this summer was over, I realized how much I loved organizing things and how much I loved putting things in folders and subfolders and sub-subfolders. And those were the beginning stages of my love for clerical type of work. The following summer, they made me the assistant to a, a woman, a Black woman owned franchise operator of Norrail Temporary Services. I don't even know if Norrail Temporary Services still exists today. I may be dating myself.
Yeah.
But this woman looked like me, and she was the owner of a business. And my job was to hand out the applications to the people who were looking for work and then get their filled out papers back. And I typed them into the computer. And the more I typed and heard my fingers doing the clickety clack, on the keyboard, in my little 13-year-old brain, I was thinking somebody's life is changing every time I clickety clack on this keyboard. They're going to get a job. They're going to be able to take care of their families. They're going to make money. This is important work. This is very important. So I made a decision that day that I was going to own my own business one day, or I was going to run an office one day. One of those things was going to happen. And that was like an inner vow that I had
I love
made
it.
within myself. This is going to happen. So I continued in school, taking all the business classes, all the marketing classes, all the DECA, and all of the classes that led to, shorthand, typing, dictation. I'm really aging myself.
I did it all too. You're in good company. You're still probably younger than me. So I got a D in typing on the old electric typewriter. Okay. So I didn't excel.
Once I learned home row, it was on from there. Yeah. So it was just so great. And I loved everything about office work. And so when I graduated from high school at 16 years old,
Nice.
and I went straight into working instead of going to college because I graduated at 16 with a 1-month-old son. So I ended up being a teen mom, which was a statistic that I did not want to be, but I was. But another statistic that presented itself in health class at that time, they said, of all the teenage girls that are in this class, 1 out of 10 of you are going to get pregnant before this high school year is over. And then of those that get pregnant, you're going to end up on welfare. And so I said, I'm not going to be another statistic. So I went immediately to work. And so that's what I started doing. And since I knew clerical work and I knew I was really good at it, that's what I started doing even from back then, and just continuing to hone my skills. And that experience over the years has parlayed itself now into entrepreneurship and being a business owner.
Oh, that's awesome. It is so great. I love hearing the story because we all came from somewhere, right? We all came from somewhere. We all have a past. We all have experiences and all that kind of stuff. And everyone's is different. But it's so cool to see where it is, but what drove you. And I'll say you're a little unique in the way that at 12 and 13, you kind of were set in your course. And a lot of 12, I know I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea what I was going to do at 13. I mean, 17, I was in the Marine Corps. So I'll tell you that I did that. Okay. But
That's
it was,
awesome.
but I didn't at that age. I mean, that it's rare that someone's really dialed in at that age, to go. And then you kind of pursued it, even with the circumstances, whether having a child and everything else, to stay focused on that. And I think incredibly wise to go to work and not be, and I'm going to air quote, pressured into doing the college thing. And you got to do that like it's the only way you can make it, like you're going to be a statistic. Okay, that's going to ruin you. That can ruin you. So that overcomer attitude, get to work, get busy, get working, still with that mind on becoming an entrepreneur. You might not be able to start a business at 16, okay, with a child, but you can go improve the skills and keep working towards that goal. So you can get skilled up and do that. And that's basically what you did, right?
Absolutely, 100%. I did end up going back to college, or going to college, not back. I went to college, but I was an adult learner when I went. And so I do have a college degree, which I'm very proud of, but my course didn't exactly take that immediate trajectory right out of high school. And it doesn't happen for lots of people, and it's okay, especially in this day and age. I'm not poo-pooing college. I absolutely am a proponent of college and college degree, but you certainly don't have to have a 4-year degree to be successful.
Do you really think that going back as, we'll call it an adult to college, okay, later, that you were way more focused, your ability to learn, retain, and really perform well. Wasn't that, don't you feel, and I know you had a decent gap there from 16, but like that was probably a better time to go anyways? You know, to really
I
get the full benefit from it?
Yeah, well, what I love the most about it is that not only did I have, just years of experience growing and adulting,
Right. Right.
to apply to my classes, it just made it that much easier because I had that under my belt. I had all these life experiences that made my classes more meaningful and richer, and I had a lot more to contribute because I've had all this new frame of reference that I wouldn't have had coming straight out of high school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, again, people will say it's like you got kind of a bad hand dealt or whatever, or these but it's like, no, it worked out even better because you probably got, and this is a total, assumption. You probably got a lot more out of your college time than you would have as the 18-year-old Renee. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The 17-year-old, you probably got a lot more benefit, and again, though, and I love this because when you're working, I don't know if you had your business going yet or not, but either way, even if you're working, now you actually have practical application of the stuff you're learning, right? You can see where it fits. You can see the real benefit of it. Where when you haven't had a lot of work experience or life experience and you just jump into college, that's why a lot of guys, well, that's why the average is 5 years to graduate, not 4. Okay, because that first year they're just kind of playing. They don't know what they're doing, and they don't have the experiences to apply and the drive to get through it in a certain time frame. You know what I mean? So I love it.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, 18-year-old me would not have done well in college. It would have been so much more difficult to focus and to balance, especially because then I would have this tiny baby and trying to study. And I mean, yeah, certainly would have been much more challenging. Wouldn't have been able to focus. But I think things happen the way that they're supposed to. I mean, when life gives you a certain set of circumstances, you can either crumble and let life just happen to you, or you can have some intestinal fortitude and say, oh, dang, this thing happened, but it's not going to stop me. My mom's famous words are, one monkey don't stop no show. And there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, yep. It's so true though,
Yeah,
because and in business, okay, I have a saying, every problem is an opportunity. Okay,
absolutely.
so if you can have that mindset, and you obviously were instilled with that early on from your grandparents and everything else, your mother, and to take that through it's what gets you through.
Yeah,
You become a problem solver. You just figure it out and you go. You got to, okay, there's something in my way. Oh, look, I'll just go around it. I'll
that's
go
right.
under it. I'll go over it. Whatever you got to do, you
That's
just,
right.
it's
Go
not
through
like
it.
throw your hands up and yeah, you just, whatever it takes, right? So I love it.
Absolutely. And when you're going through, Richard, I have found that it's when you go through that you find out what you're really made of. Like, who are you at your core? Like, when the going gets tough, what do you do? Do you can't just sit there and crumble. And I had a son that I had to set an example for. I had to model what it looks like to push yourself, to not give up, not give in, keep on fighting and doing whatever it takes to handle business because that's what we do. We handle business.
Love that. It's funny to say is my oldest son, he's in the Marine Corps now, but he was home over Christmas and we got to do a podcast together. We were guests on a podcast. They wanted to interview him and me. And I remember him saying, they asked him, well, how'd you do all this without like quitting and stuff? He goes, well, I just think that's not me. I don't quit. That's not who I am. I don't quit. And he says something like, well, and he doesn't, but he has his mental exercise he goes through when stuff's really difficult. People are dropping left and right around him. And he's like, well, that's not who I am. See, like you understood who you are, right? And you have an example. You're being a role model now as well. You had role models growing up. So you're duplicating that because they were good role models. So it's really great to see. I had to do that with my kids. So I have 6 kids. And I'm like, I didn't want to be what my parents were to me. Let's just put it that way. Okay? I'm like, I had to intentionally change that.
I get it. I
Right.
get it. You and I
So
right here.
I'm like, I can't do that. And I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And that's a lot of work. You got to do kind of a one, because it's easy to fall into what what you saw,
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So where'd the business go from there? come this time now, where are we at? You've either graduated college or you're working through college, get done, have your business. Give us the evolution of the business.
Okay, so the business actually didn't come for quite some time. So I was really proud of what I had to offer in corporate America. So I took pride in climbing the corporate ladder in the administrative area. So starting out as like the receptionist, and then the clerical assistant, and then the administrative assistant to the directors, and then the vice presidents, and then eventually the executive assistant to the C-suite. And so once I'd been supporting executives on the C-suite level for Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies, so many people think, oh, it's just a glorified secretary. But trust
Oh,
and believe.
well, no, it is
No,
not.
sir.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
ma'am. It is much more than a glorified secretary, because that executive, when you are their partner, you truly are their partner in life. We sometimes even get called the work wife because it is that kind of close bond that you have with your executive. And that executive oftentimes will tell you things as his assistant that he could never tell anybody else. He can share things with you. He can't share with his peers. He can't share with his people reporting to him. Sometimes can't even share with his family. You're his only person. And so you're that confidant that they can trust, and they know they can trust you with anything. And so that's why they come to you with everything. And I really loved and valued that role. And so I was in it for about 20 years. And then my kids grew up, of course, and they left home. And I still had all this passion and desire for supporting executives and helping executives as their assistant. And so even while I still had my corporate day job, I thought, because I had all this time on my hands, I'll see if I could get any of my own executives that I could support maybe on the nights and weekends and help them out with their calendars and emails and things like that. And before I knew it, my personal executives that I was supporting as clients started telling their friends about me and the work that they were getting from me. And then their friends kept telling their friends. And then before I knew it, I'm trying to balance an 8-hour workday with a full-time side hustle
Right.
at night and on the weekends, also trying to be a wife, trying to prepare some meals for my husband, and trying to keep a house clean and laundry done and all of the things that the wife, in a traditional household does. I was burning the candle at both ends. When I tell you both ends, if the candle had 3 ends, I was burning them,
That's right.
all of them.
Top, bottom, and the middle. Had them all going.
Top,
Yeah.
bottom, and in the middle. And I was talking to my uncle one day. He's like, you can't keep this up. You cannot work all day, come home, work all night, get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and then do this again over and over again. This is not healthy. Your body is going to sit you down if you don't get some help. So I was like, yeah, you're right, you're right. And so, Richard, that was when I got my first virtual assistant. And when
Nice.
I got my first virtual assistant, I said to myself, everyone in this world who owns a business or runs a company or oversees people must have their own virtual assistant, at least one, because the difference that it made in my quality of life, everyone needs to feel this. Everyone needs to have this room to breathe that you only get when you delegate some of that work to, which was I was able to do when I got my first assistant. Her name is Ashley.
That's awesome. And it's funny we're having this conversation today. So obviously it's going to come out after we record today. But yesterday, 3 different conversations and a podcast on virtual assistants. Okay. And the importance of me with my clients, because my clients, I'm a big fan, right? Like, you need this. Like, it is, I started using virtual assistants in 2013, maybe. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's when I was introduced to it. Like, oh, this is really cool. Like for bookkeeping, like, oh,
Yeah.
bookkeeping, they like do that. That'd be really great because I can't put an in-house person. Couldn't afford that at the time. I'm rebuilding, doing all this stuff. And then once you do that, you're like, oh, this is the go-to. And then it just continued to evolve from there. I mean, the access, right? It was kind of simple things in the beginning, but you're like, wow, these people are really good. They're certified. They're talented. I'm going through it. I'm like, this is just you have to have this. Because
Yes.
it seemed to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know it's your thing you do, but it seems like there's backups for the backups when it comes to virtual assistants. Okay. You get someone in house, they're sick, there's no backup. Okay.
Right?
You're like, well, what do I do? They're not here. Okay. So there's just a redundancy, if you will. Right.
Yeah.
And it's built that way, and you can train them, script them, do whatever you got to do, whether it's phones or accounting or executive assistant or whatever it is. And I'm like, this is magical.
Yes.
It
Yes.
really is, right? And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's so cool. And I'm sorry people haven't experienced it yet. Like, you got to do it,
Right.
you
Well,
know?
and I love, Richard, that you bring up the point about the redundancy because that is absolutely our model. Because we don't want our clients to feel any interruption whatsoever. The business continuity is a must, whether or not your assistant is sick or on vacation. They have cross-trained someone else on the team who knows exactly what buttons to push and exactly what you need to have done and picking up exactly where they left off so that it is invisible. The fact that they are gone, the work is still getting done exactly as it would be getting done as if it was your regular person.
And
So
I'm
yeah.
telling you, there's someone listening right now, Renee, who just is dreaming about that. Like, they didn't even know that's possible. Okay. They're waking up every day hoping everyone's going to be there. Okay.
Right,
It's like,
right,
because I did
exactly.
that for 20 years. Okay. So it's the same thing. It's like,
Yeah,
but
and you
now,
never know. Yeah, you just never know what's going to happen. God forbid anything bad happened, and you find yourself completely without instantly, suddenly this thing just happens. But it is so important that you not only have one person, but make sure that that person has a backup to make sure that things continue to go business as usual, no matter what.
you know what? I just thought of this. This is why these are real conversations, because I'm thinking I haven't thought anything till we get going here, but I keep thinking about when I interact with people here, so we're in the United States, here in Wisconsin, and I was talking to a young guy the other day trying to explain to me why it's not right that they don't let him be on his phone, like at work, like doing you know what I mean? Like checking, it's like, they make us put it here and we get fired if we have it. And this is only like one little symptom, but I'm like, here's the thing. They all think like everyone should be able to contact them at any moment. Okay. That if they have to do something, they should be able to not come to work and not be
Mm,
penalized. Cause, I had to go, I don't know, take the garbage cans out. I forgot I had to go home. What I mean? It's something like any excuse not to work, and they feel entitled to it. Truly. I mean, I see this a lot. And that's what I'm saying with the VA. It's like there's a different mindset. They're trained differently from the get go. There's a system they operate in with these redundancies, the cross training and everything else. But it is a frustration when I deal with my business clients, right, as I coach them with these little things. These are little annoyances. They all want to
mhm.
leave an hour early. Oh, I need to go today. And they want to leave an hour. Like, what?
Right.
You work 8 hours a day, 8. You work 6 to 2:30. It's 8.5 hours. Like, here's what we do. And you can't do it,
Mm,
and I'll give you a great example. So let's say that, right? So it's a manufacturing place and the guy goes, well, I came up with this idea. I'm going to create an attendance bonus. And to qualify for the attendance bonus, you just have to show up on time, which means a couple minutes early, not leave early, call in when you're going to be sick. Okay. And you're going to get an attendance bonus every month. And you know how much they get? Like today, they get 5 months to show up and do their job. Okay. And there's like 40 people. Okay. There's like 40 people. Okay, you're going to love this. Okay. So a year and a half goes by. The policy's in. Let's look at the data. Do you know who got the bonus?
there was
The
another.
same people who were already coming in early, not leaving early, right? Calling in when they're sick. So it didn't change the behavior of the other people.
No.
So that's $5,000. That's over $5,000 a year,
Wow.
like free,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
free money
Yeah,
on
just for
top of
that.
and you're making good money already, and you get that, and they couldn't do it. So the owner he's kind of baffled, and I'm like, well, there is one shining, one silver lining here. When it comes time and you have to cut back, you know who's got a target on their back.
Exactly.
Okay,
100%. Like they
it
have
narrows it down.
identified themselves.
That's right. That's right. I mean, come on. Like, is that really? I get if it was like $50 or something for the month. I'm talking, it's $500.
Is- That blows me away. That totally blows me away. But I love that you share that experience and that story, because number one, I think it just shows the system, the mindset of the work pool, the
Yep.
employee pool that we have
Yep.
to pull from nowadays. And so that's why one of the things I think is so important to what we do in our hiring is making sure that it's more of a culture fit as opposed to a skill fit, because a skill we can teach, but it's the culture, it's that mindset, it's that what's important to you, what gets you up in the morning, what drives you. How do I know I can count on you to show up and keep coming every day? That's what I want to get to. And those are the folks that we weed
Yeah.
through to
Yep.
get to that person.
Yeah, because that process with virtual systems is you're still going to like give them three people probably to interview and say who do they like best. I don't know, maybe you do or don't, but my experience has been okay. Someone filters, they go to the pool. There's 25 candidates, and they get them down to three, and they go, okay, Richard, here's three of I think the best fit for you. They know what I'm looking for. Then I interview them, give them all 10 minutes, and I choose. Okay, who am I really clicking with? Who do I see good? And then we roll. Hey, and if it doesn't work out, it's go back to the drawing board, and do it again.
Well, see, and with us, we know how much time it takes to screen and, put out job posts, filter through resumes, screen people that look good on paper, end up showing up not being at all what they said they were on the paper. All the things, it's all very time consuming. So we even take that off the plate of our clients. And once we know what the scope of work is, we know what the skill set is of our team members and their availability, their capacity, their specialties, things that they specialize in. I am typically the one that makes that match, and I will share profiles of the folks that I think might be the best for them to pick from. So they get 3 profiles to pick from. And of those profiles, the one that looks best to them, that's the one I schedule the meet and greet with. And so they don't even have to worry about, I know you're great at doing a 10-minute interview, but how well do you really get to know someone in 10 minutes? When we have done all that work, we've done that vetting, we've trained them to our very high standard of excellence. So we know we can count on them to represent us well. So we know that they will represent our clients well.
Yeah, and that's the key to success. Okay, because, and I want to make this clear, so a lot of people don't know this. So you're the head of the service, okay? Getting on the VAs, everything you just talked about. We vet, you go through the profiles, you go through the resumes, otherwise known as their letter of lies. Okay, go through that. And I actually said that to someone. He came in for an interview. I go, "You got your letter of lies?" And he goes, "What?" I go, "Your resume." Let me see that. And I just crumple it up and I go, "We don't have talking about that. We're just doing this." But the fact is you could go somewhere else and like have to do all that work to find the right person, and it's horrible. Okay,
Man.
so what you're doing, Renee, you're removing the pain.
Yes.
Okay, this is a critically great thing as a business owner that you do for a client. Okay, we all want to know their pain, we want to eliminate their pain, and give them a great outcome. Right? That's our goal. So you're doing all that. You already know the trouble of. I mean, again, whether it's a virtual assistant or someone who's going to walk in your office and work every day, the pain is the same.
Yes.
The problem, the process, all that stuff, So I got a headhunter years ago to get me out the right office manager. So this was in 2005, maybe.
Okay.
And I'm like, I need this. And hey, it cost me $8,000. And they got 3 people in interview, and I picked the right one. I did a good job with that. Really worth every penny. It was a major asset. Made me a small fortune. It was awesome. But that process, I paid a good amount. I don't have time to weed through this stuff. I tell them what I need, what they're going to do. You make it fit because that's your expertise. It's really not my expertise. My expertise isn't HR. Right. Okay, it's not. Let me go through this. Let me build all this stuff out. Especially when you're a smaller company. Maybe you got 3, 5, 7 people. You're not that, and I don't care what you think of yourself. You're not that HR expert. Okay, you're someone running a small business with a couple of people hopefully doing what you want them to do. So that's why I love this model, because you can go to you. Here's what I need. You'll take the ball. You'll run with it and come back with the person I need. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And that's one of the things that one of our clients has said to us, several of them, but one that stands out. Her name is Katie, and she's as a solopreneur, you wear all the hats. You do all the hiring, you do all the payroll, you do all the marketing, you do all of the paperwork for scheduling the meetings and trying to find a time that works for everybody and all of the it's a lot. And once you stop wearing all the hats and you operate in your absolute zone of genius, not only do you feel the relief that comes from that because you don't have to do it, because we basically took all of that off of her. We were able to do it
Right.
for her so that all she had to do to run payroll was push a button. I got back to her shortly after that, and she was near tears. She says, I can't believe I've been doing this by myself for so long. And I didn't have to. I did not have to be doing all of these things by myself. There was help out there available to me. You've been out here for years. I didn't know. And now that she knows, she's like, okay, I want someone to do my social media. I want someone to do my
Uh,
project management. I want someone to do, so we're doing all kind of things now. And it's
right.
been amazing. It's been a wonderful experience. And now she can scale. Businesses cannot scale if they don't hire help.
Right.
You've got to if you're going to be successful.
And you know what you're leaving out? That the virtual assistant can do it way better than she ever could.
Yes, that
Like
part.
you do it because you have to do it. It doesn't mean you're good at it at all. Okay, you just get it done. So as soon as you bring, so she wasn't only relieved, like she didn't have to do the work. She goes, man, they do it well. Like they're
Yes,
doing stuff I didn't even know you could do. Right,
right.
like with books and everything else, they're super efficient. You're like, that's what I hired for. Like I refuse when I used that headhunter and I got that office manager. So this was 2005. I literally like didn't even send emails. I
Right.
would write something on a napkin and hand it to her. Here, send this. I'm like,
Yeah,
I can't be bothered. I don't want to learn this. I'm gonna go out
exactly.
and make something. I'm gonna build something, So it was like kind of laughable. I mean, I wouldn't be on LinkedIn. I wouldn't be on Facebook. Anything. It wasn't for her signing
Hmm.
me up for it in like '08 or whatever. Like I
Hmm.
never used this stuff, but she's like, you need to be on there. I go, what for? This is silly,
Right.
but
That's
now
right.
it's, where am I? Right. So it's that
Right.
whole thing. So I love hearing this because I think it's so good for people to hear, like, it's not the release you get for bringing this on. Again, it's your most economical decision. Okay. With a highly qualified individual. This is the thing I always have to bring this back up. People think you're hiring someone living in a hut somewhere. You know what I mean? Like they, holding the antenna up to get that. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm like, no, these people are like certified. They're, educated. They got degrees. They got they got, like, you're not, it's just, they're in a different place,
Right.
like
Exactly.
literal,
I'm like,
like,
they're just at the house. They're
right.
like,
It's just, it's,
they're at the house.
but so you have to like reassure people now, not so much because it's a little more mainstream, but back
Yeah.
in, like I said, 2013, 2014, you're like, who am I getting? Who is this?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
How does it
it's,
work?
yeah, it's really like, how do I do that? Well, how are they going to
Right.
have, they're going to have that access to all my books? No, you put in these stops and they can only do this and only do this. And you check on this. It's just so,
Yeah.
it's very enlightening for someone when they see it. Because like you just said, Renee, their business now can move forward. They can get back to growing and then
That's it.
preparing to scale, right? They can get where they need to go because like I deal with everyone, just like I wrote Escape the Owner Prison, they're on the hamster wheel. When hamster wheels don't go anywhere. It's the difference between motion and progress, right? A rocking horse stays in motion but doesn't make any progress.
Right.
That's where you're at. You need those VAs. You need stuff like that to move you forward because you
That's right.
cannot focus on growth, scale, reeling in big clients when you're dealing with basic bookkeeping, basic this, receivables, payables, all this. You're
Right.
overwhelmed. It's
Right.
just misery.
If you're spending your time doing things that are not making you money, then you're spending your time in the wrong way and on the wrong things. You're working too much in the business instead of on the business. So yeah,
We need income producing activities. That's what
income
we call them.
producing activities. Yeah,
That's what you should be doing, you know. So that is
100%.
yeah, that's awesome. So where did it take you? So you start the VA business. You're kind of, hey, this is a great thing. I'm doing this executive assistance, doing this. Now I got this. Now these clients asking me for more. Now you realize I have to leverage myself, right? Is that kind of the big epiphany? Like, okay, well, how do I okay. Then you start this, or you find these people. Now you're getting them. You're like bringing in the subcontractors,
Yes,
basically, right? And let's bring this in and start doing that. And then you kind of discover leverage. Because
yes,
to me, virtual assistant is leverage. That's
yes,
major leverage.
absolutely,
Was that a
absolutely.
difficult, what, just from the really kind of nuts and bolts of doing that, was that a difficult process to kind of get them acclimated and really figure out how you're going to do this and serve your clients with this kind of new, we'll call it the new way?
Well, I wouldn't say it was difficult. And one of the reasons why I'll say it wasn't difficult was because the people that I brought on the team thought like me, operated like me, had been doing what I had been doing for years, just like me. And so it was like I just duplicated myself. And so the more I kept duplicating myself, the easier it was for me to confidently assign them to clients because I knew that they all held within their own natural being a standard of excellence and a pride in their work and their work ethic. And so we just continued to build our team in that way. And that was in 2020 that I hired my first assistant because, of course, then that was before the pandemic. But once the pandemic hit in March, things really took a turn, and everyone was in, and had to go home. Of course, as I don't have to rehash the story, we all lived it. But that was when things just started to pick up for us. Things
Right.
didn't slow down for us. Things picked up for us. And I could just continue to add team members because more and more people were looking to hire an
Remote, right?
assistant that they didn't have before.
But
Yeah.
what you're right, because we were thrust into the remote work world. A little bit was going on, and what you do, you have people who have already been doing it for 10 years.
Yes,
That
exactly.
their whole existence is remote. They're in the
Yes.
Philippines. They're here. It's like it didn't interrupt their life whatsoever.
No, we've
Okay,
been
it just
doing
brought them more fortune. Is
this
what
is
it
what we
did.
do. We've been doing this
Right,
before the pandemic ever even
right.
started. So when it came, it's like we can hit the ground running because this is what we have always and only done. This is the way we've always operated. And we literally have grown so much from back then to now, just continue to scale and grow and over and over. And now we have a team of about 40 virtual
Nice.
assistants on the team. We've got 3 success coaches. We've got a business operations manager who oversees them all. I continue to focus on new business and making those awesome matches. And we've just developing our sales team now to continue to bring in more new business. So it's really grown to a place where I never in a million years would have thought we would be, but it is fantastic.
That is awesome. Like I said, I tell everyone, whether it's a recession, a pandemic, whatever it is, there's opportunity. Problems
Yes.
are opportunity. Right now, you were at just the right time, right place, right people, and you grabbed it and you ran. You took the baton and you ran with it, and now you're just blowing it up, which is awesome. It's
And
so
what I love the most about it is that not only do they have this passion and heart to serve others, but they're college educated, US based. Most of them are US based. And so they understand business. They understand exactly what it is that you're looking for. And so it's easy to get started
right,
and to
right,
just kind of have a conversation, say what you want, know that what you said is what is heard, and
right.
and get business done. And so it's just amazing. But all of our team members have administrative skills. So that's one of the things I didn't share is that so we started out primarily doing administrative support, the email management, the calendar management, expense reports, bookkeeping, travel arrangements, project
Right.
management, all the things that the executive assistant in the office did because that's what I knew how to do. But we've since evolved into now also handling social media doing all the graphics, the posts and the captions and the hashtag strategies, all those things. And we also now produce video podcasts. So if anyone wants to do a show, but they know how much work it is and they don't have the time, but they really have a message that they want to share, we make it so that they can just show up and talk. And so those are now our three
That's
different lines
smart.
of business that we're in.
Super smart because podcasting is big. I did my first one in 2013. First podcast, and then my last one was 2020. I launched one, did it for about a year and a half, 2 years, took a break, and now I do SES. I do this, obviously, right? But I also guested in that in between, did a couple hundred guest appearances to kind of build that. And that ability, and it's really changed even in 5 years, the technology and the ability to do this stuff, But I love it. And I think for businesses, if you can do the done for you kind of package like you're doing, it's incredible. Because like you said, they've got their zone of genius. They can come and they can speak, they can do this, but it's all the other stuff that they just don't have the time for.
Right. And a lot
I've
of people
got 30 minutes to talk. I don't have an hour and a half to edit and do this and this and all that.
or find a guest or,
Well, yeah, that.
and make sure that it's the right guest who's not
That's
going
right.
to talk about something that you have absolutely no interest in or are completely opposed to.
Right. Yeah, it's so important. I mean, I'm on both sides of the fence on that, right? I'm a guest and I'm a host, so I get to play both sides. And you're right, it can be a challenge, But again, the industry's growing. There's great things with that as well. And podcasting to me is probably one of the most favorite things I do out of all the stuff. Yeah, it's right up there. It's right up there with freeing my clients from their business. That's like number one when they actually get their time and their freedom back. That's probably the biggest thing. But podcasting is just a great way to reach. Just like you're getting your message out. That's what podcasting is for. That's why you guess. Let people know this stuff's available. You couldn't do this 20 some years ago. Like when you were working corporate, you'd have to be like NBC.
Right.
You'd be like, who's going to talk to me? I'm just some goof in Wisconsin. Yet I've had everything from Navy SEALs to NBA coaches on my shows.
Wow.
Like I talk to all these amazing people all the time. Like it's no big deal. We're all buddies.
Right.
So it's like,
I love it. It has definitely leveled the playing field. And it is such a great tool for marketing. So, when people want to monetize their show or whatever, there's so many different ways to do that. And it's like low pressure, no pressure, and easy and fun. And it's just, look, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. And this is what my guest is talking about. They are a subject matter expert in A, B, C, and D, and this is, their story, and they want to share with you how you can benefit, by utilizing their services or whatever that looks like, promoting or advertising. All of those things can be done so easily, but it does take somebody to actually pull the strings and push the buttons and make all the connections and do all the coordinating. Yeah, it's a lot, but we love it.
It's your business. Okay. Whatever I'm doing, I have to work and do all those other things that I do to make my money, just like you got to do all the things to make your money. It's a business, But you've solved the problem of me having to do it all.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's value to that. And there's money to be had for that. There's to be given for that privilege to be able to, I always tell people, my kids always ask me, well, why do you wear a watch? I'm like, because I value time. I want people to know I value time. And they're like, oh, so, it matters. I know how much I'm worth. Okay. So there's things I don't do. Okay. Right. Because like cut the grass. I don't cut the grass anymore. Okay. Because I'm worth more than that. I got to hire someone for that. Okay. I want to support my local business guy.
That's
I
right.
want to give him a piece of the action. Yeah. For
sure. The community. That's right.
That's right. So awesome. This has been just really great, Renee. I really love hearing your insight. I'm really excited for what you've built. Truly excited, like it's weird, but I'm like, I love that you had that opportunity. You took all that experience, which is another takeaway, I think, for people that if you're in corporate now or whatever you're doing, like this is not wasted time. Okay. Right. Doesn't mean you can always start a business. The old saying about old Colonel Sanders for Kentucky Fried Chicken, he was 60 plus before he got Kentucky Fried Chicken off the ground. Okay, there's always time.
Right.
But you utilize the experience you're in.
Yeah.
How is this going to prepare you? Start to take the notes, start to think about what you're doing, right? Like really get into that so that you can step in with wide open eyes into your
Right.
business. It's not, you're not groping around in the dark. You want to start a business, but you don't have any, not just you don't have experience, but you don't have a clue. Okay.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
you knew where you were going to go with this, and you started on the side. You started that little side hustle that then became actually outdid your day job, right? And you knew it was time to take the transition. So it seems you really did things, I'm going to air quote, the right way. Okay. Now there's no real right or wrong way, I guarantee you. But I'm saying, like, and I know you made probably plenty of mistakes and had your ups and downs and everything else, but it's really cool to see that you persevered. You went through it, but you knew your path and you stuck to it due to your experience. And that's a good thing. So I just want people to understand that from a kind of the chronological standpoint of where you went on this. Because some
Yeah.
people think you snap your fingers and you have a business. And yeah, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, because I actually, Richard, I'm a woman of faith, and so I pray about everything like all day, and I'm sure God gets
Love
tired
it.
of hearing from me.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
But when I was having a conversation, I was like, I want to help people. I just love helping people. I love making people's lives better. And that's what I want to do. I'm not an HR expert. I'm not a numbers person. I'm not a salesperson. Those are not my zones of genius. And so I need people around me who operate in those zones of genius in order for me to fully operate in my gifts and skills and talents. So trust and believe that this have been so blessed personally by the people he's allowed my path to cross to just kind of help enhance what he's already put in my heart to do and
So
get to.
so early on in our conversation, you're talking about getting people to do this and that because you can't do all the, and here's a biblical thing here. I'm thinking, well, Moses is trying to judge for all the people and all the tribes. And what does father-in-law tell him?
So,
You can't be doing this. You got to go pick some men, go get somebody, get over. And they take it, and what they can't figure out, then they bring it to you. I mean, there's delegation right there, right? Like, I always
right.
like to turn it back into a biblical thing, show the
Love
relevance, but I'm telling you, thinking of going, Moses, that's it. It's like, imagine 1 million people all coming to you. 1 million.
Right?
There's like 1 million Israelites, and they all want to come to him and gripe. Okay,
Right.
about something. He's like, I'm dying here, and then his father-in-law is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, just give it to this guy and this guy and this guy and do all that, So very, very cool. I love it. So I had to throw that in there. I just had to throw that in there.
I love it.
So
It's so
that's good.
perfect.
Yeah, it's good. So, Renee, how can people follow you, get in touch with you, engage with you as far as service goes or whatever the case? And we'll put it all in the show notes.
I would love to stay in touch with anyone, especially someone on the West Coast. We've got some really great talent on the West Coast, and we would really love to put them to work. But
Perfect.
we can be reached at www.executivehelpnow.org. We are not a nonprofit, but it's .org. .com is a whole nother story for another day. We're also on all the socials at Executive Help Now on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel called Renee Speaks, and we drop a show every Friday at 1:00 where we use that platform to start it out to support women entrepreneurs along their entrepreneurial journey to help them avoid some of the same mistakes that I made when I was getting started. So we have subject matter experts on to talk about the different tools and resources available to help make the journey just a bit easier. And we also have a tool called How Do You Know If You're Ready for a VA? Because some
Nice.
people may have that question. So they can text the letters VANOW, VA now, to 1.
Awesome. That is awesome. Well, Renee, I really enjoyed the conversations. I knew I would because I just know these things. And this has been fantastic. So I'm excited for everyone to hear this and connect with you because, well, you've heard it all. I don't have to say any more. If you listened, you know why you need to contact Renee. And I appreciate the time and have just an incredible continuance of the growth. Keep scaling, keep growing, keep serving people. Love what you do, and it has been awesome to have you on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richard. This has been an amazing experience.
Thank you. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. And don't forget, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. So if you want to see how I can show you at least $100,000 in hidden annual profits in less than 3 minutes and not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend. Guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. See how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. Do it now.